Code of conduct.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown. I put in extra work that just can't be found. I took the sword out the stone, wasn't a thing. Look me in my eyes cause I'm a king. Look me in my eyes cause I'm a king. God made me punch in accurate numbers. My castle won't crumble. What I tackle will fumble. I've been a leader when they ain't see it, but now my feet is up. According to me, royalty didn't end with King Tut. Crown on my head, clouds is at my legs. Big says sky is the limit. I look down on the ledge. I push the bar like I'm opening a cell. Hands in my cookie jar, you won't come out with a single nail. I need all of mine. The weight of my shoulders won't fit on a scale. What's a king to a giant? Well, Goliath fell. Even if we playing chess, dog, this king can't be checked. I make all my moves on the board. I invented my steps. I'm a king, the blood of a ruler. I feel like Mansa Musa. Make your squad disappear like landing by the Bermuda. Triangle, look at it from my angle. I'm a king, the closest thing to being one of God's angels. I'm a king. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. I put in extra work that just can't be found. I took the sword out the stone, wasn't a thing. Look me in my eyes cause I'm a king. Look me in my eyes cause I'm a king.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. This is the Code of Conduct with the King podcast. I am your host, Jay Smith King, and I have a very, 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 very special guest joining me today. So I'm not going to take too much time and talk about too much, but I'll do because I took last week off, had some stuff going on and I had to take care of and handle, so I wasn't able to do the show. But I do want to quickly talk about the draft. I think it was a phenomenal job by Brandon Beane. I've been critical of him over the last couple of seasons. I feel like the Bills have kind of missed when it comes to the draft. I feel like, if you go back and you look at that 21 class, we went through it. I had Sterling on one time, and then we also did the chop up, and we talked about it all, and just kind of ran through the whole thing. And I've been very critical of him. I think this time around, Brandon Beane somehow was able to draft 2 first-round draft picks, guys that I feel like should have been first-round draft picks. I think he got the best guard in the draft, if not the best, the second best in the second round. I like the job that he did this year. I can't say that I think every single pick is a home run hitter. I don't think we addressed the hole that was left by Tremaine Edmonds leaving. I don't know if the Buffalo Bills want to. All these interviews that's come out, Brandon Beane talking about this and talking that, talking about what they're looking for in the linebacker and what they're looking for as far as philosophy. I don't know if they wanted to replace him. I think, at this point, fans like me who love Tremaine and who, I'm going to miss Tremaine. But as far as the Bills are concerned, I don't think the Buffalo Bills look at it that way at all anymore. I think that they have a plan. I think Sean McDermott is going to coach a heck of a defense next year, and I think it's going to be very aggressive and fast. And I think that's something that all of us have been looking forward to seeing is fast Buffalo Bills defense. And then, like I said, offensively, you give Josh another weapon with the best pass catcher in the draft. Maybe not I don't want to say best pass catcher because you had some stud receivers go early, but at that point where we were, I don't think you could have taken a wide receiver that was better. So then now you look at it, what do you want to do? Okay, obviously I still say figure this thing out. You picked up some extra picks for next year's draft. You did some things. Let's figure out a way to package some things and go get DeAndre Hopkins. That's where I'm at. I love the after draft signings. I love the undrafted free agents that we picked up. Well, I don't want to say love, like I think everybody's going to make the team, but I love the competition. I love the guys that they're putting together to take into camp for competition. I love it. I just still want one more thing. That D-Hop trade or something on that level to me will put the Buffalo Bills right over the top. Not over the top as far as winning the Super Bowl, but I think it just shows, hey, we're all in this year and we have to really give Josh the weapons he needs, give him the protection that he needs on defense, give him the speed that we need to keep up with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and all these other guys. I love it. Absolutely love it. So look, I'm gonna get right into it. I got my guy Josiah with me. I'm a huge fan of Josiah. The content that I do and the way that I interact on Twitter and the way that I tried to build the brand that I've tried to put together. Josiah was one of the first guys to do it on that level. So he was kind of the blueprint for that. So very excited to have him. He's turned into somewhat of a friend as well. He's very supportive. He's given me tons of good advice over the last year and a half. And just a really good dude. Can't wait to talk to him. So before we get there, I got a quick word from my man Buffalo Freddie, and then let's get right to it.
Okay, here's the deal. I know as Bills fans, we wait all year for the fall and the winter so we can go to the Bills games. I get it. Trust me, I do. But let me tell you why this time of the year is elite. It's party time. And we're going to party for so many reasons, whether it's a graduation party, a birthday party, family reunion, or just because it's Saturday and the weather's perfect. Here's the thing. My guy, Buffalo Freddie, has everything you need to make your party the best party of the year. We have everything from chairs and tables to premium tents, water slides, wet and dry bounce houses, and so much more. And that's not all. The best barbecue catering in Western New York has you covered, whether it's a small party or a corporate gathering. Buffalo Freddie Barbecue Catering makes everything easy for you. Rentals and bookings available now at www.buffalofreddy.com, or you can call 716-4FREDDY. That's 716-437-3339. Remember, for all your party rental needs, just call 4Freddie.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you already know I'm amped this time. I'm amped this week because I got another king in the house. And you know, when there's kings involved, it's royalty happening. My man, King Josiah, he's the mean king. He's the NBA GOAT, all this. LeBron called him the GOAT. So y'all know it is what it is. What's going on, man?
Kings and things. What's going on, brother?
Kings and things. I'm gonna have to pen that. We're gonna have to ink that somewhere.
All right, let's get it.
But listen, so I appreciate you taking the time to do this with me, man. Obviously, for those who don't know, which it shouldn't be many at this point, but for those who don't know, I feel like you kind of started off the same way most of us do, kind of just, having some fun, doing content, doing things that you love, and then things just blew up. But you have a little bit different of a background when it comes to, like, obviously the sport that you cover. But how did you kind of take off so, I don't want to say quickly because I know what kind of work you put in, but how did you take off so quickly, to become King Josiah like this?
I mean, it wasn't quick by any stretch of the imagination,
Yeah.
but I mean, to your point, I think, social media has given a lot of us an opportunity to create brands, create lanes for ourselves. So started out doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes, a lot of production and producing shows, creating shows and writing and doing a lot of that type of stuff. And then, for me, I saw the value that social media possessed. So started getting into the meme game. And really for me, I grew up with sports background, played college basketball. Like I said, worked in sports entertainment for a long time. So when this space first started, for me, it was no different, kind of just being in a locker room with the boys, like, talking shit, having a good time, getting the jokes off, having fun, but really been able to create a lane for myself, grow my brand, grow my following. And as a result of that, be able to leverage that to create opportunities for myself. So when I was doing stuff back in the day, I was working with NFL Network, Fox Sports, places like that. Producing shows, working with a ton of tremendously talented people in front of the camera. Never really had a dream of kind of doing that. In the back of my mind, maybe it was a thought, but didn't really see a lane or opportunity to be able to do that. Back in those days, you had to go to Syracuse or Northwestern and have a broadcast journalism degree and work local news and do all this stuff. It was kind of steps you had to take to be able to be on air, where the game has completely shifted. And I'm super thankful for it because I think social media has created the ability for a lot of people, including myself now, to be able to leverage their brands, create opportunities for themselves, like even a show like this, you know what I'm saying? Like we're able now to connect, jump on a pod just through the power of social media, the power of connectivity, networking, and things like that. So, the main thing for me was just always building my brand and, doing a lot of stuff in the meme space, content space, but also growing it in other ways too, and always doing it organically and authentically to who I am and making sure the voice and the tone and everything I put out there. I always like to joke with people that, a lot of people, especially nowadays on social media, create fake accounts. They got burners. They like to hide behind, the camera, if you will, or hide behind the Avi, where everything you get in with my account is me. People always question me all the time. Do you got a team of people? And do you got all these people working for you? Like, nah, it's just me, man. And as I've gotten older, it's gotten a little bit harder to keep coming to the block every day with putting content out. but I wanted to make sure that I stayed authentic to myself with everything that I do. So to be able to grow those brands and do the things I'm doing now, hosting a few shows with Gilbert Arenas, including Gil's Arena, which is presented by Underdog Fantasy, No Chill, which we do with Fubo Sports. Also do a show with this company called Wave Sports Entertainment called Out of Pocket. And then, work with companies like TNT, work with companies like Showtime Sports, Showtime Basketball. It's just a really, really cool thing. And it's taken basically all the skills that I've acquired throughout my journey on the work side. And now I'm able to leverage all those things to, do a lot of cool, unique stuff that I'm super, super proud of and excited about. But also I've never gotten complacent. So I just kind of keep grinding, keep working, never believe the hype. Like you mentioned, like LeBron, called me the GOAT. But, a lot of people maybe at that point would have started to slouch or rest easy or start patting themselves on the back. I try not to do that. I try to work as hard as possible to create more opportunities for myself.
Oh yeah, that's when you really turn up. Like when and I know it's LeBron, but I mean, once people start to really recognize what you're doing on a different level, and everybody said, that's when you really say, okay, I'm gonna really turn the jets on. Let's take this thing to another level. But I was gonna mention, because you just mentioned all of the things that you're into now. Like you got your hands on so many different things, man. It's still incredible to me when I watch. So it could be one of the games last week, or maybe it was early this week, the Lakers game, and it's like immediately, like your reaction times to things are on point. Like you're always, you're just always on point when it comes to timeliness, and then the memes just make sense like every single time, and it's like your bag is so deep. But I think the thing for me, and actually had one of my friends ask me earlier, like, ask him. Like, how is he so accurate with it so quickly too? Like your bag is so deep. But the part that's impressive for me is that, like I said, you got your hands in so many places, but you're still able to stay true to, like you mentioned, you're staying authentic to the thing that, that you jumped on it. And I just think it's incredible. But how do you keep up with all of that though, man? Like I know your bookmark folder gotta be insane.
What's wild, man, I don't even really use bookmarks like that. I probably should, and especially with like this AI wave and all the chat GPT and all the stuff that's going on now. I like to just do it all myself, man. I think that's the one thing. And you mentioned the content and the tweets and the memes and things like that. It's for a certain demographic. It's for people who are in my age range. It's not for everybody. So I get a lot of hate and criticism from the younger generation. It's like, look, fellas, I don't make content for y'all. I don't really care if you like it, frankly. Like, and I think, when I was young, I can remember being the same way about, people that were doing stuff that were maybe a little bit older than me. And getting angry and, oh, this sucks and whatever. And it's like, yeah, but it's not for me. So at the end of the day, I make the content for the demographic I make content for. And I just always stay ready. And if you do this long enough, I've been, involved with social media, going on like 10, 12, 15 years. So I'm just around so much stuff. I got a deep library of just, as a kid, I consumed so much content, so many TV shows, movies, films. And even to this day, that stuff goes on. So I can see a lot of stuff now and know right away how I would use it, what situation I would use it in, when it would work best. But really the account and everything I do is just a reflection of me, the stuff that I'm watching. I love basketball. Obviously NBA Twitter is my main lane, and I'm watching games all the time. So when I'm watching games all the time, like everybody else, and everybody jokes like, man, you in the future, how do you know all this stuff? Like, no, man, I'm just old and I got cable. Like, a lot of people got streams now and they got all that other stuff. But it's like, y'all are a minute, 90 seconds behind me off jump. Like I'm literally at the crib sitting on the couch watching everything on cable. So I'm seeing it on like a 7-8 second TV delay compared to everybody else who's seen it on a 60 to 90 second stream delay. And shout out to everybody, however you watch the games, as long as you're consuming and enjoying it. But so for me, the fun is, something happens. And I know nowadays there's become a culture now where so many people, I don't want to say copycats, but so many people are doing the same thing now. And it's created this culture where everybody wants to, put the best meme out or have the best content out. So I just got a clock in my head that's constantly going off. And coming from a sports background, you get used to pressure, performing in, high pressure situations. When time is of the essence, you got to make a quick decision. Like playing basketball, you really don't have time to think, right? You're on the court, you got to react. So whenever something goes down, I just try to react to it as quick as possible. Also knowing that there's tons of people, tons of, amazingly talented content creators and people like that I'm competing with. And it's all love, it's not like it's a friendly competition. I don't got no beef with none of these people, but I know something happens. We all are trying to get our jokes off, get our content off as quick as possible. So the quicker you can do that, and it also, especially nowadays, for me, is trying to just be as authentic as possible. And that's the problem I deal with a lot, where I'll post content and I'll notice like, bigger companies that have all this money and all these resources posting the same thing several minutes later. I know what the game is, and I never want to get caught in a situation like that where I'm in that copycat world. I want to be first to market. I want to try to be as original as possible. So that's the game that's going on now. So it's tough. I took a nap before we did this show for about 45 minutes, literally just a quick nap trying to get ready for this joint. And within that time span, Mike Budenholzer got fired and so much other stuff goes on. So I also accept the fact that sometimes I'm going to miss things, and it is what it is. A lot of these companies, I think, constantly feel the pressure that they need to talk about every single thing that goes on, especially in this news-driven environment with all these news breakers and people, that we never know when they actually sleep. But I'm comfortable with the fact if I miss something, whatever it may be. But I know tonight, for example, like Lakers play the Warriors, there's going to be jokes that are gotten off. I don't know what they are yet. I don't know what's going to happen in the game that's going to require a meme or a moment or something like that. But I'm watching in real time with everybody else, and I'm on it. I'm enjoying and loving the game, but also knowing all right, something funny happens or something that people are going to be talking about, some viral moment. I've got to be ready for those things, and I got to get to market as quick as possible because I'm competing against a lot of people that are trying to get a share of that engagement, that viewership.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned the copycat. I'm not going to talk about other content creators because we all, like you mentioned, we all hustle with this and we are competing. But yeah. I do notice that, when from the time that I think I really started to recognize who you were and pay attention to your content, you do see, like you mentioned, bigger companies that literally just take it right from you. And then if they don't take it from you, then it's like they copy your formula. And they're, because if you look back a few years ago, there weren't many people with the type of content that you put out doing the same thing. And now it's like, it almost seems like if you're not doing that to some extent, you're probably not reaching your audience to the best of your ability. So, I don't know. I think it's okay to give credit where it's due, man. And you definitely entered into you ushered in a new stage of content creation and connection with an audience. And I think it's dope that you're able to still kill it the way you are. But I also think it's dope that you can see your impact on everybody else, even though, you don't get the bread. That would be nice. But
yeah, that's my point. That's the only thing I get upset about. And believe me, I love that the world is created, and I got no problem with anybody, man. I try to just keep a positive energy, never really try to get negative, get caught up in that type of stuff. But I'm on social media a lot of the day, so I see the things going on. I know when I post something and 6-7 minutes later, a bigger brand that's supposed to have all these people that literally that's supposed to be their job. They should be running circles around me. Like, I'm an old man. I'm running circles around your whole team. I've got family responsibilities. I got to coach T-ball. I got to do all this other stuff in my world now. So I get more frustrated. Like, y'all have all this free time. I can only imagine what I'd be doing if I was in my early 20s with all these resources available to me. And it's more perplexing. Like, y'all got all this free time. Y'all got all these resources, the skill set. You're supposed to be the cream of the crop creatives, and all y'all do. And I see this happen to my friends too a lot. Somebody will post a great piece of content, and that thing will just get ripped and mutilated and brutalized. And I'm not trying to say I'm better or worse than anybody else. And I didn't start this thing. People were doing this stuff before me. So I don't ever want to sit here and say, I'm the one who created all this shit and everybody's biting. It's like, no, man, we're all in this game together. But I think as you start to build, especially in social, you develop a certain tone, a certain brand. So when I see things that are getting directly taken, whether that's, in hip hop, somebody literally trying to jack somebody else's whole flow and style, these are things that you recognize and you hope people will improve upon. And the sad thing for me too is I know a lot of people that work in these spots, and a lot of these people follow me. So it's not like I didn't, it's not like, oh, we just came up with the same thing at the same time. No, like, you saw my joint hit, you went back on your Slack at your company, like, oh, this is a good one. Let's change a couple words around, and we'll post that stuff. Like, I don't know that it was them. You know what I mean? Like, that's the stuff that hurts me the most, because when I see these people, they try to act it's all love and whatever. But, like you mentioned, like, y'all not giving, I don't work for your company. You're not giving me a bag. So you eating off me, getting promoted off of my hard work, my creativity. It becomes frustrating at times. But like I said, I'm just happy to see that the environment that's created and the fact that we can all make money doing this stuff. So I'm going to keep that going. But I think a lot of times when you talk about culture, that's the thing that really bothers me. People use this word culture, and everybody's throwing this term culture out. And you look at these companies and you look behind and see the type of people that they're hiring. And I think about somebody like Jasmine O. Watkins, who's a close friend of mine. And, coming up in the game, we kind of met each other through social, but I would see her stuff and just amazing content she's putting out. And I see her stuff just getting blatantly jacked by companies. And you come to find out later she was applying for gigs at a lot of these companies and getting rejected. And it's like, how are you stealing my shit? And then, but telling me I'm not good enough to work here. Like, it don't add up. So it it becomes a point when, when you really see the people that are representing these companies and the lack of diversity, even though everybody tries to pretend and claim that that's a big initiative and a big goal for if you really want to represent and be reflective of the culture. And I look at a lot of these social teams and it's not reflective of that. And a lot of these people are getting promotions and creating names for themselves in these companies just by jacking the flow of a lot of talented creators out there. And this is something we've seen since the beginning of time, right? You think about Elvis Presley and you look at, modern day with the TikTok creators, all these amazing, choreographers and black dancers that are just getting their stuff blatantly stolen by people who don't look like them. And those people are getting paid way more money and benefiting way more and more or less getting the credit for that stuff. That's kind of where I draw the line. At the end of the day, like social media, it's like the wild, wild west. It's really hard to regulate. Yeah. But if you're in this space long enough, you start to notice, you become friends with these people, you see them out, and we really try to support each other. So that's the one thing I do frown on. Like, people know when they're dealing with me, like, that's what I told you before. Like, I try to get that stuff out as quick as possible because we may have the same thought. And believe me, I never take stuff. I have a 5-minute rule. So if I post somebody else posts something similar within 5 minutes, more times than not, we both just thought about the same thing. Like, no idea is necessarily unique to myself, right? Everybody remembers this famous meme or this clip or whatever and sees an appropriate time to use it. No beef. But then when it starts to veer past that 5-minute window, it's 10, 15 minutes later, and the thing I put out has already gone viral. The thing somebody else has put out has already gone viral. And it's funny, man, I got so much respect for a lot of these people in the game now. A lot of times before I post, I got to check their joints just to make sure that nobody's put anything, close to what I'm about to do, just to make sure. Because again, like Lamar Jackson signs his deal, or Budenholzer gets fired, or whatever these different topical news pieces are. Dylan Brooks, and the Grizzlies part ways, and they tell them they're not bringing them back under any circumstances. At those moments, people are going to have commentary. They're going to have jokes. They're going to have memes. So a lot of the times, there may be a similar thing that people were thinking about. So I don't ever take stuff like that personal. But it's another thing when I posted this thing 45 minutes ago, and now you posted the same thing pretty much bar for bar. You gentrified it a little bit. You fixed the grammar, you fixed the punctuation. But I know for a fact where you got it from, that's the stuff that really becomes like, all right, that's not cool. I can't really get down with that.
Yeah, and then because then you even mentioned the culture part of it. I think that's one of the things that gets under my skin, at least, is when like you mentioned, it's somebody that the certain type of content, and the audience is reaching, and you know who it connects to, and the person that or the company that takes it don't represent that at all. They don't come from that at all, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we see what's cool, we see what's connecting, so we're gonna just take that and then try to connect to that same audience. And that like you said, that's the part that gets to me. But I want to ask you, man, because you mentioned the Dylan Brooks thing, man. How wild is that? Like, you know what I mean? Like he crashed for the year. It seemed like it almost seemed like Memphis had this whole thing where everybody was on cloud nine, before all of the gun stuff and all of the social media stuff that happened. It just seemed like that team was a team that everybody just was kind of in love with. Ja Morant, everybody was in love with him. And Brooks, he's kind of like the new up and coming, most teams, or not most, but you got the naggers in the league, like the dude that they just those defensive. So you got that, and now it just seems like the dude just hit rock bottom. So especially after the whole Bron thing, just hit rock bottom, man.
Yeah, and I think, look, the thing, and we talked about this on Gil's Arena with Gilbert Arenas and Brandon Jennings, is that if he would have, talked all that trash and just stood on it, and you got guys like Pat Bev, like these level of trash talkers really isn't anything new in the league, but you can't talk all that trash. And granted, you're going against LeBron. Nobody expects you to shut down LeBron, even with the janky foot, even as a 38-year-old in year 20. LeBron's still going to get his. Nobody expects you to shut down Kobe or Michael Jordan or whoever it may be. But, once you get busted and you duck smoke and you start hiding, and now you don't want to talk to the media, you don't want to use the same people that you when you had all these things to say. And as crazy as it sounds, I know him and Draymond got into it earlier in the season, and Draymond kind of hit it on the head. And Draymond is the type that, will never bite his tongue, and just, was clowning them, was packing them up, was saying, the dynasty starts after you and all that type of stuff. But I think the Grizzlies and the culture and the fans, they fully embraced and they loved that stuff when they were up, right? When it appeared they were on the trajectory to be a championship contender, when they're the 2 seed, when they're doing all this stuff, they're in the locker rooms hitting all this, you know what I'm saying, before they come out for games. Dylan Brooks rocking the perm. And I feel like he got an unnecessary amount of blame for them not winning. He's not the reason they lost the series.
Right.
You know what I mean? You could point to, he's not the reason they got 40-pieced in game 6, right? You know what I mean? He may have had a part with that, but the rest of the players on the team as well. I think of somebody like Jaren Jackson Jr., and I'm not calling anybody out, but Defensive Player of the Year, And I mean, I see AD cooking him, every other game. AD can never put two good games together, but every other game and things like that. Ja, like you mentioned, with the whole situation that he's been involved with, was extremely detrimental to the team. I think he missed like 8 or 9 games, had to be away from him. I think that changed the whole mood and momentum and the trajectory of where their season was going. So for them to single out Dylan Brooks and the thing, when the tweet came out and it's like, under any circumstances, we're not bringing it back. I'm never a fan of that type of wording. And other people have pointed this out too. I don't know if that was coming from the tweeter, if that was coming from the team, but that type of inflammatory language. At the end of the day, this dude is a professional basketball player. He uses basketball to feed his family. So when you're saying things like that, trying to make him out to be this terrible figure in the locker room and somebody you just absolutely want nothing to do with after he spent 6 years with your franchise and, led you guys to levels that you hadn't experienced in a long time, to just single him out, isolate him out. Now, it's fine. That happens all the time. People don't come back. They don't re-sign, whatever it may be. But, kind of trying to start a smear campaign in the media when this was shit that you were fully supportive of, fully rocking with, when you were front running, when things were up for you, then things got down and now it's all his fault. And it's like, come on, man, that's BS. And from my standpoint, I live in a world where, I'm a big LeBron fan. So you come at LeBron, of course, we're going to get the jokes off. Problems. But we're going to get the jokes off. It is what it is. Same way, if it would have been the other side and he would have came in LeBron and punked LeBron or did whatever, the jokes would have been flying. And that's at the end of the day, like, LeBron's my favorite player, but I also have, a report and the thing I need to keep with the stuff I'm doing. So I clown everybody. Like, if it's LeBron in a situation where he can get clowned, I always respectfully, I never really want to just, rip these dudes to shreds, because I got a ton of respect for them as human beings, as athletes, as basketball players, and mental health, obviously, with everything going on in the world. But jokes are jokes. So I try to have jokes that dudes can share in the group chat. They can look at in the locker room. Even if you're on the wrong side of the joke, it might be a Steph joke or whatever. Steph can look at it and laugh. And sometimes I feel bad because I know you dudes will probably use it as motivation to go out there and kill. So probably need to go tone it down a little bit with certain guys who are built like that. But when I look at Dylan Brooks, I think, the initial reaction and obviously across the board, this is fandom in a nutshell. The Grizzlies would have beat the Lakers in the first round and did what Dylan Brooks said. The jokes would have been flying. LeBron would have been getting packed up. AD would have been getting packed up. The Lakers would have been getting packed up. And that just is what it is. But now the Lakers, beat them in 6, embarrass them. LeBron does his thing. The rest of the team does their thing. Yeah, you got to be on the other side of that. So if you just stand on business and you take it like an adult, hey, I talked and it didn't happen, but I'm gonna get them next time. That's fine. But I talked, it didn't happen. Oh, now I'm running from the media. I'm not gonna talk to these same people I had no problem talking to when I was poking bears and telling me he was old and he needed to score 40 for I respect me. Now they beat us by 40 and I'm just dipping, not even taking a shower, not even washing my nuts after the game.
Right, just gone.
That's that's when you feel the heat. But I feel like the fallout of that, the Grizzlies and what they did, definitely was very disappointing, and they got to be mindful now as they start to pursue other free agents, try to get guys that come on board and play with that team. Like, if I've seen how you treated one player, like what's that? What's to stop them from you doing that to me? Like, and that's how I approach everything in life as well. Like, if I already seen you do some hoe shit, how am I supposed to not think that could happen to me at some point too? Like, why would I want to rock with you knowing how you move? So it is what it is. I mean, I think look, I could I feel like there's a world where he very well may end up on the Lakers. I think he has a lot of good basketball left. Hopefully, he'll learn and humble himself in this experience. Man. Yeah, but it's not similar. But it's like I played with Matt Barnes at UCLA, and there's that famous clip of Matt with Kobe and Matt, pumping the ball in Kobe's face and getting into it with him. So, down the road when there was opportunity, Matt was a free agent. Kobe brought Matt into the Lakers because he respected that. It's a little bit different in Dylan Brooks' case, but I can see, look, his market is very slim. You got a Lakers team, trying to re-sign a lot of guys, not gonna have a lot of money to make moves. I could definitely see a world where if he's available at the price point that they're looking for, it's a guy you can add to your roster. Hopefully he'll humble himself, will get his mind right, and kind of, I think his career is not done though. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh yeah, no, which I don't think his career is done by any means. It's just, like I said, for me, just looking at it, it was just wild to see, and not just him, like you mentioned, it was the team, just to see the way the whole team just kind of, I don't know, man, they just crashed late in the season there. But maybe one or two more questions about basketball, but then I wanted to get into the reason why I wanted to have you on the show. But what is it like, man? Because again, I know you came up, you said you did some work with like NFL Network and all these other networks that you kind of worked with, but now like you're the front, you're the face of a lot of this stuff, and I know you're doing things with Gil, who is
in my opinion, one of the greatest point guards. You know, I feel like sometimes people don't give him the respect that he deserves based on whatever, you know, whether it's but I think, you know, if you grew up in that time, or even if you was an OG and you was able to watch him when he played, it was undeniable to me, man. Like Gil was that dude. But but what is it like for you now to be paired with somebody of his, you know, like I said, Gil was that dude, but to some degree, you're the face still with a lot of the stuff that you're doing.
Well, I mean, the opportunity to work with Gil, and Gil's a year older than me. We grew up in the same area, played high school basketball in the San Fernando Valley. He was a year older. So Gil's kind of this mythical, iconic figure, you know, where we come from. And to your point, people who actually understand basketball, know hoops. He had some, you know, unfortunate situation in his life. But for those who actually know basketball, know Gil was one of them dudes. Like, you don't give Kobe 60, you don't give Steve Nash 54. You know, you don't do these things without have a certain level of skill and ability. So if he's out there cooking dudes, Hibachi, Agent Zero, you don't get nicknames. You know, you don't get positive nicknames unless you do positive things on the court. You know, you might get a negative nickname, you know, food or garbage, whatever, you know what I mean, if you're not doing those things. But so be able to work with Gil, doing the hosting stuff. And just to be real, man, when I first started doing this stuff, didn't have a ton of experience. I was always around that world. I was always behind the scenes in control rooms, working with production crews. So I had a ton of experience being around talent, but now going to the front and kind of the pressure that comes with that, with the camera on you now, everybody watching your every move, especially in the world we live now where there's so much hate and negativity, people waiting on you to slip up so they can, you know, clown you or pack you up. I think it's been an amazing experience. So we've been rocking together now since I think 2021. We're in season 2 of No Chill. So to be able to, that was the first show that I did with him with Fubo Sports. And then now kind of being that role while I'm an interviewer, where I'm really working with him, you know, picking his brain, but also learning the type of shows and contents he likes to make. And Gil's an extremely controversial figure, but he's so smart and intelligent when you actually really listen to what he says. I don't know, we live in a world nowadays where just people see the clips and headlines and use that to craft their whole narrative. But when you really sit down and watch him break down stuff, and just his ability to talk about anything basketball related, on the court, off the court, and just how much of a student of the game he is, how much time he spends breaking down, dissecting film, you know, looking at traits, looking at, you know, we were on the show today joking about flopping, and he's like, look, man, I spent so much time when I was playing just going through the rule book, trying to learn all the loopholes to every different rule so I can exploit and manipulate it. And, you know, that's not a thing that the average basketball player does, but the love that he has for the game. And now for me to be, you know, a part of that and just to see the world. And with this new project, Gil's Arena, we're doing that, you know, 3 days a week. And it's a live show, which is even harder. You know, we tape No Chill, they go back and edit it. So if I mess up or whatever, you know, they can edit a lot of that stuff out. Versus the show we're doing now, we're on the air for like an hour, 45 minutes straight, no breaks. You know, whatever happens, happens. You know, we got thousands and thousands of people watching the show at any given moment. So it's definitely a certain level of pressure, but I've gotten so comfortable in it and learning it. And me too, I'm a student of the game, but I also work, you know, perfecting my craft from a broadcaster, from a journalist, from a host standpoint as well, doing a ton of research, ton of preparation, really busting my butt. We don't just show up and turn the cameras on and start talking. You know, there's hours and hours of prep that goes into all those type of things. So for me, not trying to cheat the game, not hustle the game, be super appreciative and thankful for these opportunities, but also with the understanding that, you know, at any moment, these opportunities could go away. So I have to do as much as I can on my side to keep them here. So that's prepping as much as possible, being as organized as possible, getting rest. Like, you know, you come into those shows, you got to be ready to go. As you know, doing anything in the content space, you know, people think it's just, oh, turn the camera on and go. Like, that stuff is hard, man. That stuff, I do an hour 45 show. I'm more exhausted than when I used to play games and back in the day, just because I got to be so locked in and focused on everything that's going on. But I just try to hustle and grind, man. I've definitely had points in my life where there weren't this many opportunities, where I was struggling, where I wasn't making the level of bread that I felt like I deserved. So I remember those moments with everything that I do now, and with the goal, like, look, I'm never going back to that, man. So I'm gonna work as hard as I can now. I'm getting a little bit older, so I know, you know, my clock's ticking, father time is creeping up on me as well. So it's one of those things where this thing isn't gonna last forever. But while it's here and while I have these opportunities, just go as hard as possible, man, to get to the level that I believe that I deserve.
Yeah, well, you're doing it, man, and there's a couple people that I kind of give credit to for certain types of inspiration, but you're definitely one of the guys that I look at when I say, you know what, this is the trajectory that I feel like I can take my career in. And so there's certain moves that I've made that I can't say nothing yet, but certain things that's gonna happen
All good.
coming up this next season. I'll tell you when we done. But certain things is coming up where it's like, no, this is kind of like the blueprint that certain people have laid. So no, I definitely man, I give you that credit, and like I said, and a couple others. But keep doing what you're doing, man. Like it's funny, but B, man, you just, you know what I mean? Like you just really encourage and inspire a lot of people. So keep that going, man. So
I know, and we had talked before, man. I think the thing too, and obviously, I'm not going to share a lot of those personal convos, but people see all the good, right? They see the good things that happen. They see me at a certain level. Like even you to start the show was like, it's never overnight. So they don't see the years and years of grind. They don't see the times when I was getting packed up and the death threats and all the hate, and still get hate to this day. But it's funny, man. I become so desensitized to all that, because I can't worry about the hate when I got the direct deposits coming every 2 weeks. And I see what those direct deposits look like, right? Like, it's like, all right, y'all may hate me. Y'all might think I'm the worst thing ever, whatever it may be. But then it's like, all right, well, let me see who supports me. And the people who support me are influencers, tastemakers, creatives, companies that write checks. So at some point, I know I'm doing something right. But it's similar to being an athlete or whatever. You get caught up in this world where you have to deal with both sides of it, with a lot of negativity. And that's the one thing I always tell people about this game, because it's like, oh man, you're doing all this great stuff, it must be so amazing. It's like, yeah, it is. It's tremendous opportunities, but there's also a negative aspect and negative side of it, and that's the pressure I deal with as well. If I put up a meme or a piece of content that people aren't rocking with, especially on a platform like Twitter, I know instantaneously, right? I know within 45 seconds if people like this or hate this. Like, people have no problem, like, holding their tongue. They will let you know if they think it's the worst thing ever. Like, you getting death threats off of tweets. Like, it's just wild to me. I'm always like, look, man, if you're going to do it, you do it. Like, you're not going to give me a warning. I'm going to kill you. Like, come do it. Like, if you really believe if this tweet has angered you enough that you want to take my life, please come take a shot at it. And let's see what's going down. But it's just a wild thing to see the way this game moves. But also, we all started our accounts at zero. And whatever, benefits or luxuries or things you've had in life, like, there's no, people got way more than me, people who got way less, that are doing way more and doing way less. So at the end of the day, you got to just rock out, grind, build that platform, start at a certain point, set goals for yourself. And I think the main thing is you set these goals and you try to break these goals. Like, the goals I had a couple of years ago aren't the same goals now. I'm not still like, striving for that goal to do, whatever. Once I reach that point that I'm doing that, it's like, now I need a higher goal. And as long as you're readjusting your goals, aiming higher and higher to get where you want to be, and never getting to the point where you're complacent. Like I said, LeBron called me the GOAT, one of the greatest moments of my life. I'm literally just looking at Twitter, and it really showed kind of everything I was doing this for. And I didn't ask for it. And just to know that he was taking time out of his schedule and he was seeing those things. I'd always thought, like, deep down, like, I know he's seeing some of these stuff. I know he's rocking with it, but he don't ever respond or say anything. It's LeBron, right? It's this elusive account. So to see him actually take time and type that shit into his phone, wherever he was doing in the world, whatever he was doing, let me know, like, just the power that social media's had. And that's happened to me probably like 5 or 10 times with people who I truly admire and respect, and I think are the height of their craft, that will reach out to me and let me know, how much they like my stuff, how much they rock with it. Then it's like, damn, this is what I'm doing all this stuff for. And you just kind of build these moments. Like, when I first started, that stuff wasn't happening. I was just another face in the crowd. But as you keep building, it's like, all right, I see what I'm really doing this for. So now what's next? What's the next goal? What's the next thing I want to do? It's like that Diddy video, you know what I'm saying? What's next? I need something, I need to do something else. Yeah, I can't stop, like, I got to keep going. But that stuff really, that's kind of just what I apply to myself. And really, again, appreciating these moments, being humble as always. Like, you meet me, whoever wants to rock out. If I have time on my schedule, I'm always down to pull out, help out, but never show up anywhere feeling myself or, it's like, that's not really me. That's not my lane, man. I'm just trying to be as supportive as possible. And also to show people, like, look, man, I'm not the only one who can do this shit. I feel like I'm special. My mom thinks I'm special. My family thinks I'm special, but there's more special people out there, right? I'm not the only special person to be able to do any of this stuff. So, you really just got to put the work in the grind. And more times than not, you put that work in, you put that energy in, you'll be rewarded for it.
Yeah, and I can attest to that, what you said too. Every time I've reached out, and this is the first time I've actually obviously do a show, but every time I've reached out for anything, you've always been there, man. So because not everybody stay real like that.
And it's hard, but I deal with a lot of people too, and this is the thing I tell people, because I deal with it in my own life. Like, people are busy, man, so you can never really take that personal. A lot of times, younger in life, I'm a super petty individual. I might reach out to somebody, they may not respond, and I would just think, oh man, this person hating or whatever, like, F them. Then as I got older, now I'm as busy as I am now. I'm like, yo, I understand now. Like, people have lives, like, they have things that are going on. So for people out there, I just did a panel at the Black Sports Business Symposium in Atlanta. And one of the things I really encourage those kids, like, network, try to reach out to people, but also understand even somebody like myself, like if you reach out to me, I'm not going to respond to you just right away. It may take a little bit, it may take a little time, it may take a little while, but you got to understand that the thing that you're most excited about, that's what you're excited about. I got tons of things that I'm excited about as well that I'm trying to make happen for myself. Those things take time to happen. So, really, everybody's not just available right when you need them, but if you're consistent and you're respectful, more times than not, you'll be able to make those connections, do that network. And I completely forgot. I thought I'm sitting here thinking like we already jumped on a pod before, but I know we just hopped on a call to chat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, oh man, it's my second time coming on the show or whatever. But now we actually here doing it, man. So it's really cool to do it.
Yeah, but I just wanted to make sure I said that too, because I know some people will think, nah, Josiah, he don't see me. Kind of like how you've kind of felt about Brian at one point, like he don't see me, he busy. No, I mean you stay true to that, and yeah, you are busy, but you take your time to get back to people, and I try to do that too. Like whenever as much as I can, I try to hop on other pods or I try to hop on stuff, but no, you really do that, man. But
I see everything, bro. I see everything. Before we ship, for sure, I gotta let everybody know I see everything. So it's funny, man. I see people talking wild shit, talking crazy about me, and we'll end up working together or we'll end up doing stuff. And it's like, bro, you don't think I remember that thing you tweeted at me 3 years ago talking about how much you hate me and this, that. Now 3 years later, oh man, I love the memes or whatever. Like I see all that stuff. So never put yourself in a position where you fucking up a bag. Like there's tons of stuff I don't like, man, but I don't ever take my time or devote energy. I'll never go on social like, man, I hate this or I hate that or this person's thing was whack. If I think your shit's whack, I just won't mess with it. But I'll never go out of my way to try to put somebody else's stuff down because I know how hard it is, whatever level of creative you're at, whatever you're doing as an artist. We're all super sensitive about our stuff, but I'll never, I always want to uplift and build people. And hey, it may not be for me, but I hope your stuff is still successful. So that's the thing I would tell people. You're going to burn bridges, right, and mess up bags that you didn't even know you had coming. So don't do that. Like, just be smart about it. Be smart about how you move in this space because I see everything, right? I know LeBron sees everything. You know what I mean? Like, when we're on social, I see all that negative stuff. I gravitate more to the negative stuff than the positive stuff, sadly, but I see it all. And it's like in my head, I remember, like, oh, I remember you said this shit 4 years ago that you said whatever it may be. Like, I'm not going to forget that. It's going to stay with me. So keep that in mind, but my bad. Let's keep this thing moving.
No, you're right. You're right because coming up, it's the same thing. People say all of this stuff, and then once you hit a certain space or once you're doing something with success, then it's like, oh, what's up, Josiah? Yo, Spence, can we? And it's like, man, wasn't you the? Then I remember when you said it. So yeah, like Josiah said, man, we got receipts. We remember those things. They be in our. We remember them, and it's sad that we do. I think it's human nature though. We kind of gravitate not to the point where we want to just dive into it, but we see the negativity because it almost, for me, it's a motivational factor. Like I see it and it kind of like burns me up. Like, you know what? All right, I'm gonna show y'all this next move.
Exactly. And always have that drive and passion, man. That stuff will never go away. I think that's the main thing for me. If I ever wake up and I'm complacent, then I know I'm cooked. Like I wake up every morning, like I gotta grind, I gotta go hard, I gotta be the best person I can be today. And, people talk about getting 1% better. I don't want to put percentages on it, but as long as I'm trending in the right direction, getting a little bit better each day, you're going to stumble. You have some setbacks, of course. But as long as you're trending in the right direction overall from day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year, good things will happen.
Yeah. So, all right. But look, so the NBA and the NFL, like I said, I know you mostly cover the NBA. Obviously, I cover the Bills and mostly the NFL, but I'm a huge basketball fan. Basketball is actually my first love when it comes to sports and everything. So I watch the sports and I watch the leagues on the business level, and I notice how different things operate. So I kind of just wanted to get your perspective on some things because all of these deals and all. So obviously the season's almost over now. The playoffs are almost done with the NBA. Well, we still got some basketball to play, but the season's almost over. So then free agency is gonna hit, and it seems like every year NBA money is kind of NFL money is good, but I don't know. I feel like it's just a different bag in the NBA in a different way. Obviously, guaranteed money and all of that. But one of the things that I noticed is that it seems like if you are a LeBron, if you're a Kyrie Irving, I know the media kind of got rough on him for a minute there because of some of the things that he tweeted out and thought and said. But I feel like if you're one of those top players in the NBA, you hold a lot more weight when it comes to business decisions, when it comes to what the NBA is going to be as a league. And when LeBron and all of them boys band together and decided like, no, Black Lives Matter and we're gonna talk about it. Next thing you know, it's on the floor in the bubble. Like they letting them wear, like, the jerseys got different things on it. The NFL, they kind of bend a little with certain things, and not just, I don't want to just kind of focus on like that side of things, the Black Lives Matter and stuff, but I feel like the power structure is different between the two leagues. What do you think, from your perspective, being so close to, because obviously your father played, so you also know it from that point of view. So, but what do you think is the difference, and why is that in the NBA versus the NFL?
I mean, when you break down the NBA versus the NFL, there's so many factors that go into it. I think a point you touched on just a second ago, guaranteed contract. You think about Lamar Jackson, right? Lamar, on paper, and we'll give him his love for it, signed the largest contract in NFL history. But as you know, with football contracts, you never look at that total money, because more times than not, there's no chance in hell those dudes will actually hit that total 260, I believe, what he signed, right? You look at the 185 guaranteed. I think Deshaun Watson, which was wild, I think was like 230, right? But it was all guaranteed, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And that kind of just blew everything out of water, especially everything he had going on off the field. But when you look at those numbers, right off the top, that money's not guaranteed, versus a Steph or whoever, somebody signed a $250 million max, they're getting every single one of those dollars, unless that thing goes to arbitration. They may take a little less if they get into some beef with the team, but they're going to go sign for more. Inevitably, they're either getting that amount or they're getting more bread. So that's one factor. Another factor I would say is when you look at NFL rosters, it's still 53, right, or whatever it is, plus the practice squad, close to 60 players, and they all wear helmets. And this sounds like a kind of trivial thing, but you really don't know who's who. Like, I think I saw a survey or a poll in the last couple of years of like who are the most famous, actually, who had the biggest brands and reach amongst all the different major sports. And I think Brady was probably like the first guy to show up on the list, but I think he wasn't even top 10, if I'm not mistaken. But it was guys like LeBron, Steph, Giannis. And when you really go look at LeBron, it's something I point out to people all the time, LeBron is literally bigger than the NBA in terms of his social reach and following, right? He's got a bigger following than the league that he plays in. What I mean? And it's a credible thing to see. And there's only a few guys like Ronaldo, other guys across different sports, but these guys are visible, right? You know their faces, you know their brands. Like when you're watching a football game, the average human being really can't, if I see somebody in their jersey, I know that unless they're a quarterback or a receiver or a skill position, more times than not, you don't really know who the O linemen are, D linemen, unless they're the top upper elite level players in that particular position. Where basketball, you see these dudes so much, who a guy who Alex Caruso is before he even becomes a household name. You know who that 10th, 11th, 12th guy on the bench is because you see their face. You have some, familiarity with their brand and who they are. And, players in the NFL, just to keep it real, they're disposable, right? Every single year, you're getting ready to start training camp in a couple months. I worked at the NFL Network for years. I guarantee you every team will have a major injury, right? Major season-ending injury. It's like so unavoidable. It'll be some of the biggest name guys. We see that happen every single year that you can't avoid it. So the lifespan to play in the NFL is already significantly shorter than the NBA. And you're dealing with teams with 53 to 60 guys, 32 NFL teams. It's close to 2,000 players. NBA somewhere hovering in like the 450 range, right? With the 30 teams, and I want to say like 14, 15 guys they can have on each squad. So it's already less guys, less guys, more money per se, I think, for the NBA players. Like when you look at NFL, the cream of the crop, again, they get those wild ass contracts, but the average player is not getting the bag like that. Their contracts are super janky, contingent on if they actually play on the field and can get cut at any point. Like when I was working at NFL, we knew that the new league year, I think it was like April 1st or whatever it is, guys would have these deals. Oh, he's got a $6 million, workout bonus or whatever, but that kicks in on April 1st, March 31st, like, we're cutting all you dudes. Like, you're not getting none of that bread, and sometimes they'd be surprising. Sometimes they wouldn't be. I remember way back in the day, Hainsworth, I think was one of the first defensive players to sign that like $100 million deal, right? Or whatever that number was. It was
wild. It was wild. Yeah.
When you heard it, like this outrageous number, then when you really broke it down, it was really only for like 45, still a ton of money, whatever that number was. But it was like for half of the amount that they were projecting into that. So you really start to learn that these dudes really don't have the power, because they're replaceable, because there's so many of them. So many of them are going to get hurt. There's so many more, damaging, career-ending, season-ending injuries that happen on a year-to-year basis. And B, they don't have the facial recognition and visibility of somebody like a LeBron, somebody like a Steph, somebody like a CP3. I remember the ESPYs a few years ago when it was like LeBron, CP3, and that whole crew. Like these dudes, you know, people know who these guys are. They know who LeBron James and LeBron's reach is so magnified. So it puts them in an extremely difficult situation where you look at somebody. I did a show with Colin Kaepernick, right? And, you know, you look at Cap, however you feel about him, he deserved to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, whether you ranked him at 1 or 32, somewhere in that mix. You know what I mean? He deserved to be, and I would say was on the upper echelon. He was at least top 15 in the league from that position, but started doing kneeling, you know, started impacting the bottom line, the NFL's bag, and they got rid of him. You know what I mean? Like, and literally we're and now imagine you getting rid of Colin Kaepernick, but you're putting in racism underneath the end zone. You know what I mean? Like, well, literally you have a dude who you won't let back in the league because he took a stance and took a knee, and the impact that had across sports. Everybody across the different leagues was taking knees. LeBron was taking knees, all these other people, but didn't have that leverage and that ability. So at the end of the day, the NFL looks at these guys, you know, you talk about NFL no fun league, not for long, all the different acronyms that it has. Like, guys come in here knowing they got to get what they got to get whenever, as quick as they can, because there's no longevity, there's no guarantee. And from a brand standpoint, the NFL is king, right? You know, I remember a couple years ago, we boycotting, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. Like, I still work. I mean, technically, I get pension with the NFL. I worked there for like 12, 13, 14 years. So I have a pension there. So I get the earning statements every 3 months. Every quarter, they send me the earning statement. Like, that money's not going anywhere. That money is just increasing and increasing and increasing. You talk about, I remember when I was there, and they've had several rounds of layoffs in the aftermath. But one year when I was there, they were laying off all these people making 30, 40 grand a year. And that same year, Roger Goodell made like $45 million. So in my head, I'm like, wait, you're laying off all these people, you know, but you have, and they just went through another round of layoffs. And I guarantee it wasn't to cut budgets or because they were hurting, like, oh, we just want to make more money. It's like capitalism and corporate greed. But the point is, they know for a fact, whoever they put out there, people are going to watch and people are going to rock with it. Basketball is a little bit different. Basketball's had some viewership issues in the past few years. They really, you know, you look at even this Lakers-Warriors series, I think, you know, the first game did 7.4 million viewers, which was the most in cable history for a conference game, right?
All right.
And it's like, they know what's selling. Like, you know, LeBron selling, Steph selling. They also know what's not selling. We get another Bucks Suns finals. Much as I love the Bucks, you know, and happy I was for the Suns to make the finals and you know, to be within the potential, Chris Paul being with the potential of getting a ring. Like, that's not making them no bread. So, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, that's not a Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl with the Kelsey brothers and Mahomes versus Jalen Hurts. Like, within that single thing, like, while none of these players are uniquely as big as the league, they've got like 8 different matchups that they can talk about within that, you know, Andy Reid versus former, you know, they got the 8 different things that they can talk about within the body of that game that are all going to sell, that are going to get viewership in. Imagine if it's like boxing, but it's like 6 boxers at once, and it's Tyson, Muhammad Ali, like, you know, all these great boxers all going again, and this is the fight that you're trying to sell. Like, you have no problem, you know, selling hundreds and hundreds of $1 million worth of viewership. So at the league as a whole, the NFL is king. The NFL is so much bigger that a lot of these guys are replaceable. They're disposable. They don't necessarily have the same value. You know, like, yeah, Mahomes has an amazing amount of value to the NFL, but comparative to LeBron, like Brady, maybe, but Brady goes away. I've still got Aaron Rodgers. I still got Mahomes. I got Jalen Hurts. I got Lamar Jackson. I've got enough star power because I have so many options at these different positions to help sell the league. And we've got close to 2,000 players, but we don't have, you know, the strength that the NBA has now with player empowerment. Because if a guy like LeBron says, I'm not fucking feeling this, I don't want to do it, you know, and he can get 2 or 3 more guys to get on board with him, it's a much smaller number. For the NFL to be able to have that same magnitude, you literally need guys from at least 15, 20 teams to all lock in and be like, look, we're not feeling this. Like, you know, we're not going to do nothing unless something changes. And then maybe the league might listen. But on a you know, 1-for-1 level, if I got a guy like Colin Kaepernick, like, yeah, Cap, great quarterback, you haven't played since 2019. Like, yeah, people will complain, still complain every single day, making more money than ever. So, you know, there really is no player empowerment. Y'all gonna do what we tell you to do. Yeah, y'all can complain. Y'all go to the media if you want. They'll forget soon as they hear that Thursday night football theme or that Sunday night football theme or that Monday night football theme, and that ball kicks off. They're gonna forget all about that shit. So y'all can try it if you want, but we're gonna be fine.
Yeah, it's wild to me when you talk about it, it makes sense because like obviously, so in Buffalo, man, they worship like, dude, the way the Bills fans are about the Bills is like, we know every player, but but now I live in Phoenix. It's not like that for the Cardinals. When I
At
lived in
all.
Indianapolis, it wasn't like that for the Colts. So, like, you know, there's certain teams where the fan bases are just like that. But overall, you're right. You watch the Lakers, man. Before, I remember when Alex Caruso was playing in the, I don't even remember. Is it called the G League still? Or like they changed the
GD, one of them
yeah,
letters of the alphabet.
all of those leagues, you know. But I remember when he played in the summer league there, and it was like, oh, he's going to be on the, okay. So you start paying attention to him, and you know, guys on that level. It's not like that in the NFL. You're right. But another thing, you mentioned the commissioner, and the 1 year Goodell, he makes just, it's incredible the amount of money these dudes make. But even still, going back to the power or the balance of power within the leagues, I feel like the NBA commissioner, I don't ever want to make it sound like he's just a glorified leader, because I think he does some good things. He made a lot of good changes since he took over for Stern. I really do. I love the direction that the league is going. And I know there was some complaints about it, but I even like the play-in game. Or the games. Yeah. I think that play-in tournament, I think it added another element to the league. It added some excitement, and it made things a little bit more interesting towards the end there. But again, I feel like, you know, when Chris Paul comes out and says like, no, this ain't right, and this is what we're going to stand on, the league listens. You know what I mean? But then you mentioned Cap, and I know it's a tough conversation to have depending on the room you're in. But you know, Cap's like, no, I'm gonna take a knee. You out of here, man. You finish this season, you better be happy with it, because after this, you out of here. And he's done private workouts, he's done full league workouts where he done this and done that, and it's over for him. You know, I know there's a couple guys in the league that I'm tough on as far as commentary, that I'm like, you mean to tell me that he's better than Cap? You know what I mean? And he's out of there. Why do you perceive from that level of as well, like the commissioner level, you would think like Goodell, he just has that. It almost seems like he's like, okay, what I say goes. This is what it is. This is the law. NBA ain't like that either.
Yeah, I mean, Goodell pretty untouchable, especially, again, everything is, if Goodell's losing the league money, Goodell would not be the NFL commissioner. Everything for those 32 owners is, what does the bread look like? How much bread am I making? All right, we're signing outrageous TV deals, distribution deals, rights deals, streaming deals, getting more and more bread in. Every year we're making, so it's the same principle across sports, right? I think about Donald Sterling. My dad played for the Clippers. And as terrible as the owner of Sterling was, Donald Sterling's really part of the reason now that we've seen these obscene valuations of teams. So with Donald Sterling's contribution to the world of sports from an owner standpoint, they probably revere this dude. You know, a lot of dudes probably want to build statues for him, because he literally took the Clippers and got them sold for $2 billion. And what literally happened at that point is, well, shit, if the Clippers are worth $2 billion, how much are the Lakers worth? How much are the Cowboys worth? How much are the Steelers worth? You know what I mean? Like, and he set the market for that. So now we're seeing teams selling for, you know, I think the Suns around like $4 billion. The Commanders, I forget what that number was. So these dudes went from buying these teams, you know, when we were coming up, you know, you bought a team for $300-400 million. That sounded like a crazy sum of money. Like teams they were buying. I remember like the Bucks ownership group bought the Bucks for like maybe $480 or $500 million. Now the Bucks are worth, you know, $3 or $4 billion. The Warriors, same thing. That group bought it, you know, for $500 to $800 million. I forget what the number is. Now they're worth close to $8 billion. Like, so it's a huge business. And I think obviously NFL teams across the board are more valuable than NBA teams. So at the end of the day, it's all bread centric. In terms of actual power that they would, I think Adam Silver wields a lot of power in the NBA. But like I said before, the league is so much smaller in scale to the NFL. You know, it's basically like a fifth the size of total players or whatever. They got a lot less potential headaches to deal with, if you will, like a lot less potential people to worry about or deal with, good and bad, right? That's, you know, you got 2,000 players in the league at any given moment. You know, how many dudes have legal situations or this or that, or now the whole gambling way with all these dudes getting booted out the league for, you know, for playing DraftKings and FanDuel in the facility, which is, you know, and now learning like, oh, like these companies which are partners with the league are basically dropping the dime, like, yo, like we got to pay from inside the facility, you know, from this IP or whatever. Like, oh, okay, bam, that's these three dudes, y'all get out. Like, but that's crazy, man. Goodell can pretty much do whatever he wants. He's making so much bread. Adam Silver, he's dealing with a different issue. David Stern put the league in a great place, took it to new heights. He's done an amazing job as a commissioner of the NBA and really keeping that trajectory going. But there's naturally things that you're just going to deal with. There's way more games, right? We play 82 games a year. On the basketball side, football, you play 17. So every week it's one game, right? This is the marquee moment of the week. This is the thing that we're looking forward to all week. Are people really looking forward to, a Lakers Thunder game? And the Thunder are a great team, on a Tuesday or Wednesday? Probably not as much, right? Are they looking forward to, these bottom feeder teams when they play each other? Where even if you're the worst team in the NFL, Texans, whoever it may be, it's still just that one game a week. So it's that hope, all right, we can win this. We can maybe win this one game. If not, I got to wait a week again. So by that time, I forgot about the loss last week. Hopefully we can win it again. Or like NBA, you're playing like 4 games, 5 games in 7 days. There's not naturally, like, from a time standpoint, I can't commit 5 days to y'all this week. Like, I'm a Lakers fan. I'm a LeBron fan. If they play 4 or 5 games in a week, I can watch 80 to 90% of those just because I love the game. But inevitably, life's going to get in the way. I'm going to miss some stuff. But when I look at Silver and kind of what he represents, what he's done for the league, I think he's done a lot of great stuff. I don't think he gets necessarily near as much credit as he deserves in helping usher in. Team valuations are higher than ever. Player contracts. I'm curious to see how this new CBA, that would be kind of the one issue. And not sure. I don't know how I feel on either side of it, because you look at a team like the Warriors. Warriors have the highest salary cap in NBA history, but they deserve to keep the guys that they drafted, and they deserve to be able to build that team as well, right? So if you got a Steph, Clay, Draymond, these are guys you've all built in-house and cultivated. You deserve to be able to keep those dudes on the roster and pay them their fair market value. Like, you shouldn't be punished, by a salary cap for people that you develop. Now, if you want to talk about just having the ability to go grab stars from anywhere and just throw money at them, that's a little different situation for me. I don't quite agree that much with it. But teams like the Clippers with Steve Ballmer and these rich owners that actually want to field a competitive product versus the other side with the tanking. And that's something you deal with football, basketball, everything. But, no hooper goes into a situation like, damn, man, I can't wait to lose like 60 games this year so I can find somebody to replace my job. Man, I can't wait. Yeah, I'm going to go out there. I can't wait to go out here and suck. Like, that's never, so when teams are deliberately doing that and hurting the integrity of the league, hurting the integrity of the brand, that's where I really draw the line. Like, I'll never get mad at owners who spend big bags to field competitive teams, as I will with owners who literally try and, circumvent the salary cap to put together a product that's terrible just so they can now get more players to do what? Now you guys are going to be winners now because you spent the last 5 years sucking and you got enough good players to go win. Like, how does that work? Like, all right, go win now. Like, you already created a culture of losing, a culture of mediocrity, a culture of failure. But sadly, that's kind of what the league is, because, you never want to get caught in that middle ground, right? You never want to be one of those middle of the road teams that has really no, pathway to getting to that elite. And it's probably easier for them just to get to the bottom, because anybody can lose. Like, so it's a tough world to be in. But I'm curious to see how the league pans. Like, we talk about NBA versus NFL. NFL's king. I think it'll be king for a long time. I don't know if the NBA will ever get to that level where it can surpass what the NFL is able to do. But the NBA is making good money too, so I don't think they should look at it as the competition. And Silver compared to Roger Goodell, I think, look, man, both dudes who wield a tremendous amount of power in their respective leagues. Like some of the initiatives that Silver's done, Goodell, he's going to be there. He's going to do whatever he wants. But I can't really, when I compare them, it's like, yeah, Goodell's probably the top dog, but I got a tremendous amount of respect for Adam Silver as well.
Yeah, I love Adam Silver. I think they made the right choice after Stern. Obviously he was handpicked in a way for that role, but I love it. So look, man, I took up your time for an hour. I didn't even think this was going. Yeah, I didn't think it was
I've been checking the clock too, but like we rolling. So every time I look back up, it's like 10, 12 minutes later than the last time. That's how you know you're doing good content and good work, right? Because if I'm looking at this bitch, I'm like, yo, bro, like, all right,
we out
26 minutes, like, listen, nah, you know what I mean? Like, all good, man. But I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you taking the time, man. And hey, keep doing what you're doing. You keep inspiring us, man. And I'm gonna be up there with you one of these days. You're gonna see me having a show like yours on Showtime or whatever. But I appreciate you, man. You want to plug anything before you get on out of here?
Nah, bro, I plug stuff all the time. Like, it's all good. If y'all know where to find me. I'm not hard to find.
All right, man. And y'all know how we do it over here at Buffalo Rumblings. Y'all love each other, take care of each other, and live in peace. And as always, stay positive, test negative. Go Bills. Let's get it.
Code of conduct.